Hello, I am René Andersen and this is my walkthrough of my C++ dungeon runner. First off, I'm just going to show you the program, and if you are able to, you should watch this in 1080p, otherwise it can be a bit difficult to see the small icons here. First off, we have this huge maze, and right now there's no fog of war or anything, as I chose. It would be more exciting not to have it. The player is to ride either W, A, S or D in order able to move. The hashtags are working as walls, the question marks are working as chests or flasks in this case. And if I pick one up, there will become this message down here saying I picked one up and I have been empowered. These small arrows moving around here are the enemies, and depending on what way it just moved, it will change its design. Let's see here. Here we go. As soon as I enter one, a battle will appear. In the battle you will either have to pick A, S, D or C in order to do something. The health potion is not coded yet and it will not do anything. This would however be implemented in the chests, so some of the items would be random. The chest I just took actually made my attack stronger. The standard attack is 2 health bars, but right now you can see I took out 3 because I just had this flask taken. As soon as the battle is over and you have won, you should be able to see your health has been updated over to the right of the maze. And if you enter a new battle, you should see that your health is staying the same. Using the super attack, you should realize that you're going to hit yourself with what will be your normal damage, and you will hit the enemy with twice the damage. And now here we see I'm going to die, and you will see that once dying I will respawn at the spawn in the upper right corner, and my health bar will be filled up again, and the enemy is still alive. The enemy however also has filled up his health bar again. If I enter one of these squares with plus signs, I will get a new message saying you have been healed by the magic forces in this area. This will update my spawn to this point as well as healing me, but let's get in battle first and see that. I should see that I am missing 5 health, so if I enter here once per move I'm gaining 1 HP. Over here you should be able to see the dashes. The dashes works as a door or gate. I cannot right now go through it, and if I try it will just tell me in a message down here that I need the key. In order to get the key you should beat the boss up in the upper right corner. Just going to get more chests because the boss is going to have more HP than the minor minions walking around, and hereby I'm going to need to have collected a few of them before being able to actually get the key. I am going to the last of these magic areas where I will reset my spawn, as well as getting another flask. You can dodge the enemies by being lucky when going through them, as they would have to stand still, or at least move into you, in order to start a combat. I decided to do this so you can actually be lucky, having low health, and try to avoid one by going through it. But most times you will engage combat, as here. I won't hit hard, let's get the health back. And let's try again. Here we go. As soon as I try to enter, it will tell me I'm about to encounter the boss. Now, right, Y for yes, and I will enter. Right here the health bar is a bit off, because he has so much more HP than the minions, and I have not really thought about this, but doing a super attack. Let's see here. No. I got beaten, and I got down. Back to the spot. Let's try without this super attack, which kills myself. Oh. So here we go. I have now beaten him, I still have health, I'm not respawned, and the gates over here are gone. And I will be able to catch the treasure and move on to the next level. But I have not coded one. Also, by mistake, I have made some of his armor dash. But let's look through the code. I'm including 4 libraries. IO stream for printing in the console. And input and output really. The HTD library used for getting a random value. Time also for the random value. And math for having an absolute value, and I will get back to those later. I have 2 structs. I have an enemy and a player. I could have just have one for unit or anything, but I decided to just keep them apart, as the player is going to need a bit more detailed stuff, and it's not going to need an active boolean. Going through the variables one by one. Char design is how they're going to look on the map. Designs. X and Y is going to be the current location. The previous X and Y is going to be where they were before, and the previous is going to be the symbol of the place they were before. I'm doing this in order to being able to reset the map, so there's not this trail following them, and they wouldn't be able to walk on, let's say, a chest, and they would just disappear. I then have the attack and health. I've decided to make these doubles, as they should have in the future possibility to add more stuff into the combat system. And I have the active boolean in order to test if they are alive or dead. The player has all the same, but he also has a max health. As we only need to know the enemy's health while in battle, we can easily say that his health should be his max health, while the player is going to save his, so we're keeping them apart. He's also needing to spawn X and Y, so we can move his spawn. And then we have added 2 functions, apart from the main, an update map, which is going to need all necessary stuff to actually design the map, and then the battle, which has to know the players and the enemy he's battling. First off, in the main we have our variables, height and width, which are constants. These are the map size, and it's not going to be changed. This would cause errors. Then we have the design. I just looked like I have placed ones all the way, but the one here is the smiley icon, which I gave him. Looked mostly as the player, and he's spawning at 1.1 as the array started 0. I'm giving him the starter attributes of having 20 HP, 2 attack, and right him just setting health as a max to start with. And right now I'm just setting these to whatever he's standing on right now, so as soon as he moves we're able to replace the floor with something else than the smiley icon. And this right here is something which is not being used in the game right now. It's the current level. It would be used for keeping track on what level we're using right now if I'm to add more designs. Chart direction is when I'm asking down here direction, and he's going to listen for either W, A, S or D. boss decision is when we encountered the boss and he wanted to know if we wanted to battle him or not. And the battle was just to have a building to test if we're in battle or not. The string message is then the message which was as when we, let's see, pick something up, and it will tell us this down here. That is the message what it's asked for. And then we have map design. It is a 2D array. It's quite long on this screen while I'm zoomed in. And on the map we should count 10 arrows for enemies, and all this list is just the 10 enemies given all their abilities. These could be randomized, and if I looked further on they could respawn and stuff, but I decided to keep it simple for this. They all start as being alive, and then they all given different spawn places. All given this arrow as a standard. And then they are given different health and attack. I'm keeping all lower than the boss. 10, 1, 11, 1, 12, 1, 10, 1, 10, 1, 15, 2. I'm trying to make them harder towards the boss. 15, 1, 15, 2, 21, and 25, 1. And then the boss has an attack of 5 and 30 health. I am placing all the 10 minions in an array called enemy array, which contains all the enemies. I'm using these so I can quickly loop through them all. Then right off I'm updating the map, and we will get to this one later. We then have a loop, an empty for statement, and this is going to repeat forever. Right now there's no way to actually leave this loop, as there's no winning condition. I'm right here asking if the player is dead. If he's dead, he should be respawned. X and Y should be reset to his spawn location, and he should be given his health back. Then we were asking for what direction he wants to go in, and if there is any, we're going to, or if there was any, give him the message and then reset it to make sure that the next move there's no message, only if needed. So then we're going to ask for the direction, and we're going to look what is he going to do. And we're just going to go through one, because this is just copy paste. If the case is W, we're going to check the field right above him. Y -1, we're going up. -1 on the Y axis. Well, if it's a wall, do nothing, break. If it is the dash, say you have to unlock this door first. If it's a space, just move. Question mark, just move. We have going back to this later. But this was just in order to give everything some special abilities. And then we have the dot. And this one is the only one which is only in the W, because I just thought it was too stupid to place this one all over again. This one is just saying there's a boss battle, are you sure? If sure, just start the battle. And then if we win, we should remove all the dashes. We're then going through all the maze thing. If we encounter a dash, replace it with a space. Which is why also, let's see, we're going to remove both doors, but we are also, by mistake, removing part of his sword. And then being done with W, we're going back to A, which is the same, just without all the bus stuff. And it's just with an X -1, then plus Y for S for going down, and D for going right, X +1. Then we're going to have a switch case. Wait, I've forgotten to move this in a bit. Let's see here, where we're testing if it's a question mark, what should it do, and right here we're just saying empower him, give him some more attack. If the plus, heal him, only heal him if he has less than his maximum health. This way we don't get too much health than allowed. for future, the question mark should have more things than just adding the attack to be randomized or fixed, depending on how I want it. And then this is just to make sure that if I'm in battle, it should not continue updating the map. I am setting the player health, because I have the player health all the way through. All functions need to know it. This is why also all my work here are in integers. I'm going to need the health, so I'm returning the health every time. So giving the map all the details it needs. It needs the map size, the player, the map, and the enemies. Placing them all in, and then we have here the random stuff. Random number, a max random number. And then here we are assigning it. I actually believe I have by mistake removed I had an, which is also why I had the time null. I had an srand set to the current time, so it will be true or randomized. Apparently it is not. Let's test it quickly. Left there. Yeah, it is not random right now. It should be fixed by just having an srand set to the current time. And this is done for, as I say here, lazy AI. I'm simply asking the enemy to move a random direction if possible, otherwise stand still. But this here is just looping through all enemies, and as said earlier, I have the previous X and Y and the field in order. I'm saving these, so when I'm done here I can go back and remove that trace. And then right here I am first moving them here now, setting the current placement as the design back up in destruct, and then I'm just giving them a random number between 1 and 4, or 0 and 3 really, and depending on what number it gives, it's just going to move them a different direction and change the design so it's fixed, so it matches what way it just moved. It was just to add this extra detail on it. And then we have something a bit more interesting. We are now drawing the map itself. First off, this is the height, and I've just added some unnecessary stuff. Really, I'm just going to remove it temporarily. First off, we have going through the Y every time we reach the end of the line, new line, and then on the X we're adding the current map's placement. And now I have just added this, and I've added these in order to get the health bar over here. And this is also where I'm using the math library. I'm using fabs, and fabs is going to give me the current the absolute value of whatever I put inside here. And this is done in order to, if I get in minus health, the whole thing is going to break down if I'm trying to make a string with -1 signs. So this is just to make sure the program will not break down. And then we're going through all the enemies once again, removing the trace, and then we're here going to check if an enemy has X and players X and Y are a match. If they are, we should encounter a battle. And because of this way, we are not encountering a battle every time we're actually going into one with the player. And then we once again we're doing this with the player health, going through here, and then we're going to say if it's not 0, we have 1, and we should remove this enemy, make him false, dead. He's not going to be drawn anymore, and we're not going to meet him, as we're always checking is he's active or not. And then if you have 0 HP, he's going to live on, and we're going back up to the main where he's going to see I'm dead, go back to spawn. We're then removing the trace of the player, and we're returning the player health. And this is done truly so we only can see is he dead or not. And the battle is pretty simple. We just have battle choice where we choose either A, S, D or C. We have a boolean testing if we're still in the fight, and we have a boolean if we're defending. And then we're now setting the opponent's max health. As I said earlier, we only need to know this in the battle. And then we're here drawing all the options, and we're drawing the health bars. 178 and 176 being these bars, and then one which is a bit more black or less white, so it gives the effect of being an actual bar being filled or emptied rather, within asking the user to give us the battle choice, and depending on the choice we're going to do anything that fits that. Disease actually healing the player one. Not the best thing to do against the boss, but yeah. A is simply going to take the opponent's health and minus it with the player's attack, which is going to be the same when the enemy is hitting down here. Just vice versa. Then when using D, defend is true. Or as I said while playing, it's going to take your own health and attack you once, attack the enemy twice instead. If defending, the opponent's attack will be divided by 2, and this is something which I did not finish. It is totally unfair right now. Because right now it should be saying else. And now it should be more fair. Really. Because then if he's not defending, hit normally, otherwise divided by 2. That helped a bit. And then we're checking. If opponent's health is below 1, he must be dead and we're done fighting. Return health. Otherwise if we're below 1 ourselves, we are dead and we should return 0. Just in order to enable we're not getting minus stuff, because it really screws things up when drawing the bars. And that should be everything. Thank you for watching.